Nice intro. So here we are back 2 weeks on the dot. For once, we actually are on schedule. For those of you that are out there listening, so when we started this thing, which I don't know, Ian, how long ago was that? So about a year ago. My kind of theme was to people that inspired me in the industry and people that I'm doing interesting things. Curiosity, but inspiration was mostly it. And we interviewed a few younger ladies at that time, Jessica from in my mind, Story of Soil, and Angela from Tribute of Grace, and et cetera, et cetera. And then since then we've wended and wound to old men like John Munch and Chris Cherry, which less inspiring and just more good fun to me these days. But we're circling back around to one of the local people, a local young lady, Riley Hubbard. Some of you know her. The local people will certainly know her. Those of you aren't local, maybe not so much. She's based out of Tin City. I don't know an immense about her history and where she's been and what she's done, but that's why we're here, right? So we're going to taste a couple of her wines, a couple of Tablas as usual, ask some questions because I don't know what you want to ask, and we'll see where we go. Let's bring in Riley. Hey, Riley.
Hello.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. So
Thanks.
we're going to start with one of your wines before we forget.
Okay. Well, thanks for
And
having
I
me.
know you can talk about wine, so what are we drinking?
This is my 2020 Pinot Gris from Eden Riff Vineyard up in San Benito County. I don't own any vineyards, so I buy fruit from all over the Central Coast. And this is the first time I made Pinot Gris. Cheers.
It's lovely.
Thank you.
Spiel. Give us some spiel on this wine.
So I love Pinot Gris.
A lot of people love Pinot Gris. It's kind of rare.
I lived in northern Italy for a little bit, for 9 months, and it was like big up there. Sorry about my dog. And yeah, so when I got the opportunity to make it, I knew the vineyard manager, Sandy, up there last year, and he, sorry, I'm distracted by my dog. Anyway, he asked me if I wanted to get some, and I said, yeah, there's only 3 acres planted there. Not a lot of people.
Sandy, yeah.
Sandy, he now
Is the
is,
Sandy that I know?
yeah, I think
Friends
so.
with Weston.
Wasnaga, yeah.
Weston and Brady.
Yep.
Buddy. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he was,
He's down in Santa Rita Hills.
yeah, he just left. But so 2020 he was there. And so I jumped at the chance to make it. And whenever I make a new variety, I try to do everything in neutral oak just to see what's up.
Mhm.
And so it's all neutral oak. I wanted to do a little bit of skin contact because I've had skin contact Pinot Gris and I really like, but it was 2020, and even though it's on the eastern side of the Gatlin Mountains, so there wasn't as much smoke, but there was smoke everywhere.
And no problem. I'm tasting anyway.
So, well, I stomped it and left it with the skins for like a half an hour.
Okay.
And then after that,
I'm nervous half an hour.
yeah, and then I would just throw it in the press.
Yeah.
But I'm pleased with it. I think I might do a little bit of new oak next year. What do you think? Should I?
I don't know. I think it's beautiful just as it is. So let's delve into your history a little bit because a lot of people know that, right? Where did you get into the business? You local? Were you born locally?
No, I'm from San Diego originally. And after visiting colleges, I really loved San Luis Obispo, the area. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, but they make you choose a major before you get into Cal Poly. And so I chose ag business because it was unimpacted and my grades weren't awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I was going to transfer. I didn't know what I was going to do, but
A few people that did that.
I ended up loving ag business. Yeah, no, I love my teachers. I love the people that just from San Diego. I was from North County, San Diego, which is a beach town, and I think I'd been to like a flower field and a pumpkin patch. Encinitas.
That's a cool little thing.
I really liked growing up there. Yeah, it's cool. But so when I came up here, I was just kind of in awe of all the farms and everything, and learned a lot. But I'm stuck with ag business, and I realized I could do viticulture as a minor.
Any interest in wine up to that point?
I thought I liked wine. I was like, I drank Franzia out of a box.
You liked Franzia? Yeah. The cans?
Rosé, yeah. But yeah, my parents drank wine, not crazy collectors or anything, but supposed to.
You knew it existed.
Yeah, and so I just did that, and then honestly, what really pushed me to winemaking and being in this industry was getting my first job at L'Aventure Winery here. Yeah.
What year was that?
2008. My first weekend there, I turned 21. And yeah, I'll never forget.
He celebrated that with you, I bet.
Oh yeah. And he gave me a bottle of wine, and I remember like as I was leaving, I don't think he'll care if I say the story. I was leaving this was like my first weekend of work, and he was peeing outside on the lawn, and he just like turns around and was like, "Happy birthday!" And I was just like, "This is a great place." I don't know. It's just, I was like, I don't know. I felt comfortable, and anywho, I just was super inspired by him, his work ethic.
He's a hard worker.
His lifestyle was really intriguing. I was like, this is what you do for a living? You make wine, and you're in the vines, and you drink well, you eat well, and you work hard. And so I kind of just wanted to steal his life, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, sounds cool.
Just harvest?
No, so I ended up working there for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
He taught me how to make wine begrudgingly. He taught me how to use a pump.
Oh, wow.
And Guillaume from Cotes de Tablas was actually the assistant winemaker at the time. So he really helped when I couldn't understand Stefan. He would like tell me.
Right.
And Dave too.
Dave's
awesome.
a great
He's the
guy.
best.
He's
Dave
been
the
there
best.
he's been there forever.
Yeah. Dave would always like whisper to me what I was supposed to be doing. And I didn't understand. But yeah, I actually lived on the property in that little back house. Yeah. And I would live with all the interns that would come every harvest, and they were all French. Yeah. I didn't have to pay rent when the French interns came. It was really cool. But one gal, my friend Charlotte, was living with me, and she told me about a master's program at her school that was in English. It was international. And she's like, you should apply. There's no upward movement. Like Guillaume was there, Stefan was there, Dave was still there. And so I applied, and I didn't have any chemistry background or anything, but I think they wanted a girl from California.
Classic.
And so yeah, I got in, and before I went to France, I did a harvest at Torbreck in South Australia.
Wow, so you've been around.
Stefan hooked it up.
Oh, cool.
Dave at the time was the owner there.
A lot of Australian contacts in Paso Robles.
Yeah, HDR, yeah.
Jordan, my son, went to Two Hands.
Oh, yeah. Right down the street.
As did Darren Delmore, who's our sales guy, and Brady, who's a lot of people go to Two Hands, and a few to Torbreck too. I've never been to Australia.
Oh,
I'd like to.
It's cool. I met Darren actually. So the Torbreck house, we live right down the road from.
Dog. This is classic. Yes. Classic. Sorry about that. We had a dog intermission. Riley's dog. My dog just got home from surgery, so her dog's being evicted. My dog's coming into his bed. Hey, Tina. So there we are. Riley will be back shortly. Obviously, she's in Australia, Torbreck right now. Her wines are exceptional. This Pinot Gris is beautiful. I don't know, she's not here, so it's a bit unfair to talk about it maybe, but beautiful acidity. Looks unfiltered to me, just a slight haze cast in it, which is fine. Great texture. If you can see the label. You get that closer in? Oh, she's coming. She's running back across the lawn. She's back.
I'm back.
Didn't work out quite as planned. It's all right. Dogs,
Sorry about that.
dogs will be dogs. So you're in Torbreck.
Yeah.
Meaning Darren Delmore.
Yeah, the Torbreck house where all the interns live is right down the street from Two Hands, and he was actually playing music there. Yeah. So I met him there, but yeah, after that, I moved to France to go to school. So that was Supagro. Yeah.
Cool.
It was awesome. There were 32 kids in my class, 16 different nationalities. So
wow.
It was and every week actually for the first year they would bring in a new group of teachers from a different country, which was wild.
So cool.
Yeah.
So you're pretty good at French then, I'm guessing.
It was in
You
English.
can understand stuff on there.
Yes, exactly. I'm good at that. So, yeah, because it was in English.
You can.
So, yeah.
Do the moves.
Yeah. Culturally, it was a wild experience, and it was cheaper than Davis. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Java.
The dog speak continue to wreak havoc. Oh, Tina. Oh dear.
She's got surgery.
So Montpellier for how long?
It was about a year. So it was an EU-funded program. So all the schools in Europe kind of were like, yeah, we'll host these students. So they got EU money. So it was kind of tricky. The first year, it was about 9 months in Montpellier, and then then they made us move to Bordeaux because they felt bad for Bordeaux. Like that school also wanted to host these students. So all these 32 international students had to pick up and move to Bordeaux.
Wow.
Yeah.
En masse.
It was, yeah, exactly. But like we had to move all of our like IKEA furniture all the way to Bordeaux, and it's just
funny.
Yeah, it wasn't really well thought out, but luckily, Stefan Aseo, who owns Lavature, his mother owned a apartment complex or building right in the heart of Bordeaux. So I got to live there,
Nice.
which is awesome. Yeah, and so I lived there with Chloe, and who works for him, and Arnaud, who owns Binôme. I don't know if you met him.
His daughter.
Yeah, his daughter and her husband.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
It's
But
very French.
yeah. but yeah, so I lived there, and then the second year we could pick and choose from about 8 different schools, and I went to Italy with my friends. We went to northeast Italy, so in the Friuli region.
Never been there.
It was cool. I liked it a lot. Udine. Very humid though. Not like, I don't know. It was cool because there was a lot of
Are you making
thunderstorms.
wine when you're there, or just?
I actually, in Udine, I worked for like an organic vineyard consultant for my thesis. I did organic viticulture as my thesis there, but I worked actually, they gave us a 6-month break, and I worked in the south of France for a harvest.
You had a great run over there.
It was really cool.
They were like 2009-ish.
8, 9, 10. I was at Lavature. 11, I did Torbreck, and so I did 2012 in Montpellier at Domaine de Opiac. And I got the job because he knew Stefan. Really, like
Stefan's been used
Stefan
to
hooked it up, yeah.
Classic.
But yeah, so spent 9 months in Italy, and with the focus was viticulture.
Right, which is important, right?
I mean, I would love to own some vineyard.
You're an ag business major after all.
I know.
And then back here.
Yeah, so I had it wasn't Zoom at the time, it was Skype meeting with Scott Hawley.
Corin
Yes.
and Lowell.
And so that's how I when I moved back, I got the assistant winemaker job at Law.
Oh, really?
And so I was there 13, 14, and 15.
That's pretty early days for Lowell, right?
Yeah, we opened a new building.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think Scott started.
Did they make wine before they had that building?
I think Pacific Wine Services.
Okay.
But I think, I could be wrong, but Scott made his wine 10, 11, and 12, I believe.
Mhm.
And then,
Now he's all out.
yeah, he's out. He's all touring now.
Centaur, which is great.
Yeah. My brother worked for him for the longest time, actually.
Who's the winemaker of Lowell now?
Philip Funder.
I've met him. I think
Yeah,
he's really good.
super nice. Yeah. But yeah, so for 3 years, did that. Learned a lot. Opening like a brand
A
new,
whole different world.
crazy winery with it's huge.
With all the stuff.
All the cool stuff.
It's a very distinct winemaking style, and I think a little bit Stefan, but even more maybe Scott Hawley. They're picking parameters and style of what they make, and it's definitely a thing. It's different what I do at Tablas and at Home Drum for sure.
Yeah, and it's different than what I really wanted to do as well. And the whole goal, I wanted to make my own wine eventually. And I mean, I guess I could have stayed, but I just wanted to do my own thing and make a little bit of different style of wine. And so I would say my wine is definitely on the lighter side of the Paso.
I would agree.
As a whole.
So Lowell for how long?
3 years.
3 years.
Was assistant winemaker.
And then
I wanted to make my own wine. So, and I couldn't do it there. And so I moved to Desperada in 2016.
which is Bailey.
Yeah, Belia from, and I knew her for a while. Actually, Russell was my neighbor in college.
Really?
Yeah, my
That
last
was
year of
fun.
college, yeah. So I knew him and then her from him, but, and so it just worked out great. Her assistant winemaker was leaving and I knew her, so I had the scoop
And
and
then she was cool with you making her own wine there.
yeah, so for
That's
4
a big
years.
thing.
It's awesome. It's unbelievable.
It's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
It can go wrong easily. We've been doing a long time at Tablas. So there's lots of ways that line can be crossed and go bad. But
Yeah.
it's good. Work for 4 years is a good thing, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
a great leg up, and I mean, Munch let me do it at later. The
Mm-hmm.
Haas family have encouraged me to do it at Tablas for God knows how many years that's been.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's a huge help.
Yeah.
You not just have to go out and do your own thing and find your facility and then pop
Drive
back and
back
forth
and
between
forth.
a day job, which is
For harvest.
for me is the biggest. Well, it's one of the biggest bonuses at Tablas is the fact that I don't have to leave the property during harvest.
Yeah.
And still, I can take care of my wine, but my focus can be on Tablas, which is what they want from me.
Yeah.
It's better for everyone.
Yeah.
Better for them because I would be distracted and
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be late today. I'm gonna run out and punch down, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been really beneficial, but it is hard, for sure. I mean,
Better for both wines.
Yeah, it is in many ways. I think but it often doesn't work because egos and whatever get in the way.
Yeah. No, she was great. I mean, so helpful. And she actually ran her own, like she was in compliance before. So she helped me with all the legal
That's
stuff, which
It's
is
the part we don't think about. Right?
which is like the part that it would take me like 2 weeks to do one thing and it would take her 2 minutes.
Right.
So she would help me a lot.
I mean, that's an interesting point. For people that aren't in our business, the really fun part is the winemaking part
And drinking.
and drinking. Probably sales is not the most fun part.
Not for me.
Unless you're sitting doing this, it's
Yeah.
kind of fun. But, and then compliance, I can't even. Marcy, my wife does ours. So it's like, I can't even imagine. It wouldn't get done. I'd be in jail. It's what would have happened by now because I just wouldn't have done it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's taste the Cotes de Tablas 2019. So as you know, there's a Spree red and white, and then there's Cote red and white. Cote's been around since the first vintage of Cote was 1999. It was a red, and it was called Petit Cuvée. And we were tasting. It's a good story.
Mm-hmm.
We were tasting. Robert Haas and I were tasting with Robert Parker at Tablas, and he tasted it and said it's it's really good, but it ain't petite. So he left and Bob asked, like, we're changing the name. So he changed it. We had to sew all the labels off.
Oh, really?
The power of Robert.
I was gonna say he's got a lot of influence.
Yeah, he does, even with Robert Hans. So we switched it to Cotes de Tablas, and I don't remember the first coat white, to be honest. Jason Ellis is somewhere knowing very well what it was, but I forget. Red came first, then the white. So it's kind of, I guess, the second tier. Cote Blanc, always driven by Viognier, and then the rest of the whites. This particular vintage, 2019, 44 Viognier, 29 Marsanne, 19 Grenache Blanc, and 8 Roussanne. Largely, originally all stainless steel, now largely stainless steel, but then we have some concrete and some fun new wooden ovals. Marsanne gets done in Foudre, but no new wood, either old wood or neutral wood or other vessels. Concrete's been a new thing for us, and I'm kind of made up my mind. I like it, but
I would say
it's crazy expensive. It's really heavy,
time consuming.
and it's really fragile.
Yeah, and if you do have glycol in it, it's like very nerve wracking.
I like the glycol in it.
Cold or hot, and like
and we have the eggs, and they all were kind of crazy cracking, not like deep cracks, but to the absolute the tribute of the company. Sonoma cast stone, they came down and completely cleaned them up, and they look like brand new again. Because it was all superficial, but I was freaking out.
Well, yeah.
And we don't, we use cold water, and we don't steam them. We don't change the temperature on them very much. They're just like these precious things. So I do love the character of them. Just the non-ability to move them around and the fragility of them, and then the cost is a bit prohibitive for someone like Lomadrone.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a fancy concrete egg,
but
we have one. We have one because Tablas wouldn't go for it, so I bought one from the local guy. Oh, what was the name of that? Vino Vessel. There was a lot of them around for a while. That's the last now. I think he might have stopped making them, but anyway, I bought one and then really liked it. We make our white wine Neo Veja Blanc in there, and I like it. But again, it's just hard work. Yeah, and a nice neutral, we have these new 600-gallon ovals at Tablas now, and side by side, there's not enough difference for me.
I like the ovals.
Right? Yeah, I want more.
I want some too.
There's one. I bought 2 punches this year from I don't really remember what company it's from, but they're Austrian.
Oh, is it the Cool Kid brand? Stockinger?
Maybe stupid expensive.
Yeah.
But they make ovals. That's intriguing.
It's like
correct, and it's so ridiculous because buying these really expensive oak barrels, you can't even taste it. So why are you buying it?
Yeah, I know. I wonder about that. I'm like,
I'll let you know.
So cool.
They use them for Gruner Veltliner.
Yeah.
So you can't taste the oak. That sounds great, but then you think about it, it's like, maybe I should use neutral barrels. Well, we'll see. I bought 2 punches, so we're gonna play with them. I have ovals in mind for the whites.
Yeah, one day, it's a dream.
Give us a review on Cotes de Tablas 2019. Very Viognier.
Yeah, I mean, typically Viognier is not my jam, but
mine either.
But it's when you said Viognier, then I was like, oh yeah, I didn't pick it out.
As a blender, I mean, maybe California Viognier, maybe any Viognier except country ones.
Honestly, I had an aha moment. Like when people say, "Did you have an aha wine?" It was in Condrieu.
Right.
I tasted Viognier. I'm like, this is Viognier.
Oh, so this is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I've had it like that from anywhere else.
Yeah.
And there's a reason that small appellation is famous for making beer because it is really, really good.
It's so different. If anyone hasn't tried any Condrieu, worth it.
Go get a bottle, bring it over, and share it with
Yeah, because it's worth it.
Hard to find.
Yeah. But I love it.
So Desperata, Velia, and now a place of your own, right? Landed.
Yeah.
In Tin City, which is important. People know that and where to find you and all that stuff.
It's a cool spot. We got I think it's the best spot.
It is
Tin
the best
City.
spot.
It's pretty cool.
With that, well,
Barrel House.
pretty cool.
Yeah. But we have the railroad.
You do have
We got a view.
You do have trains on the bike. Same effects.
When you came, were there trains? Okay.
And it was dirt bikes,
Yeah, that too.
which I like
Yeah.
bikes, so I don't mind watching dirt bikes today.
Every once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fun if it was constant.
Yeah, there's the back little corner of Tin City popped open this year, and pandemic, why not? Let's do it.
It'll be a tasting room where no one can come out to play.
Yeah. So yeah, we moved in September during harvest, which was kind of a nightmare. But I said, if I don't have a heart attack this year, I think I'm cool.
And now you're in.
Yeah, and now it's fine.
So winemaking wise, let's think about that. What is do you have a stylistic that can be summed up, or is that not really? What do you go out looking for when you're starting to do a wine? What is why?
Yeah, why do you like
this? Why that?
Well, the vineyards I try to work with. I mean, I'm super small. I mean, under 1,000 cases right now. I'm gonna probably double this year.
You need to. You're a tasting room.
Yeah,
that changes the program.
Yeah, for sure. But so I like to work with smaller family-owned and operated farms. Just in my experience, they've been a lot more supportive and helpful, and listen a little bit more when you say, "Hey, can we maybe do this?" Right. They actually do it, rather than if you're buying from somebody big. I buy 1-2 tons from people. Right. So that helps, and then also organic farming. I really appreciate when people do that.
Yeah.
So whether they're certified or not, because some of my vineyards are 8 acres. So some people don't want to get certified, but they are practicing organic.
Which it works.
Yeah.
I get that. Certification is if it's genuine, right? I mean,
exactly.
I mean, you know that's true with certain people, but it's an expensive. Some people don't want to incur. And we're starting with low drone to kind of go, okay, well, how much more per ton would it take for you to do that certification? And it's not usually that much.
I'm wondering how much. I mean, how is it that much more expensive?
To certify or to farm?
No, to farm. I mean, I know.
I don't think it is. I've personally, the only farming I've done is Tablas Creek, and I've never done it any other way. So I've never pulled a gallon of Roundup, so I can tell you how much it costs.
Yeah.
But I think people are surprised. We just converted a vineyard on Willow Creek Road, and he was really skeptical because he's that guy. But it's gophers. It's gophers and weeds.
Yeah.
And a little bit of insects, but that's not such a big deal. It's gophers and weeds are the tough ones. And a little bit living with it not being perfectly devoid of anything green except grapevines. People struggle with that.
So when I go to a vineyard, I like when it's messy.
Right, but people that have been farming for years I hate the term conventional because organic is conventional. But when they've been farming for years with use of chemical products, they've lived. You spray, you put pre-emergence down. Anything green doesn't belong there except the grapevines.
Yeah,
and that's a difficult thing to give up.
Yeah,
right. It's for people. I know. It's an interesting struggle bus, and
it is pretty wild though.
Yeah. But that's kind of a big hump for people to get over. I mean, the cost is not dramatic in my opinion.
Yeah.
And added on to the price of ton, it's not a huge deal.
Yeah.
It's partially the gophers. If you have gophers, which we all do, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because you got to pay someone to trap those little suckers.
It's just wild to me the difference. Maybe I was just in areas that were more organic in Europe, but people, there'd be mildew kind of not rampant, but in the vineyard, not worried about it at all. But here, I've seen a lot of vineyards, one spot, and they're like, oh, spray.
It's over.
Yeah. And I don't know.
I think people are told that in school.
Is that it?
I think so. I think we know probably who's funding the school program.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be, you take care of it. It's got to be clean. You can't let that happen. And if you're farming on a huge commercial scale, okay, I kind of get that. But if you're a hands-on little vineyard, then it's easy to get around that. And there's great products out now anyway that you can use that are totally organically certified. It's not like you can't use anything. You can still use salt.
Yeah. And then your customer base probably knows this already from listening to you, but
I don't think they listen to me, frankly. They
regenerative.
probably listen to Jason.
Well, yeah, and then he talks about it a lot. Regenerative versus organic.
Right.
What was the biggest what was the biggest difference that you saw?
For us, it was not a huge thing because we were already certified organic since 03, certified biodynamic since 16. So the farming side of it, for the most part, was covered, with the exception of they have this pretty rigid, or they did have a pretty rigid no-till thing going on.
I was going to ask you about
Which
that.
we do till.
Okay.
I mean, we till for seed beds mostly, but also we do disc our head train dry farm stuff.
Yeah.
So, we were the pilot winery in the ROC program, so we got to argue with them, which is great. And go back to and say, the parameters that you're giving are not based on where we are farming. A lot of their parameters were based on like the East Coast. They don't have gophers there.
And they have a lot more water.
And part of disking for us is the removing the cover for rodents, which is rodents are a big deal. It can't be forgotten. But also, yeah, they rain more. We get like hardly any rain, and we get no rain in the summer. So, yeah, if it rained all summer like it does in Chateauneuf, it would be different.
Totally.
So we kind of fought that battle a bit, and I'm still trying to get my head around how important is no-till, and is it something that we have to completely adopt, or is it something that you should be allowed to use in circumstance when you need it? So traditionally, our farming is disc the row to create a great seed bed and plant a great cover crop, get that green, and get that cover crop into the soil to compost in the soil. That's been our thing. So now saying no-till, it's kind of like the guys that were cleaning out a mess. But this is working, and it should really be result-based. Before you tell me I can't till, prove it.
Yeah.
Right. And so we did this.
Yeah.
We did what Cal Poly do disc till versus no-till carbon emission study. And I don't think they've released their final results, but it was negligible.
Yeah.
And we have one block of Roussan that I've spaded every year since the day I bought Spader, which I don't know if you've seen spaders, but they're insane cultivation tools for a terra. I mean, you can go down a road that's got a cover crop as tall as you. If you make one pass, you'll just see a stubble. If you make two, you won't even know that was there. So it just puts it in the ground.
I haven't seen it be done.
Which for me is like, that's going to be great. And so we did carbon testing, we did soil testing. Jordy was in charge of this, not me. But soil tests from there, and a pasture of land that we've never farmed. And everything was better than the thing we tilled the hell out of. Carbon was better, microbiology was better, organic matter was off the scale, was better. So you kind of look and go, yeah, I get it. In certain circumstances, tilling hillsides where there's erosion, tilling massive tracts of vegetables, where the wind's blowing, but tilling appropriately in the right space hopefully needs to be considered and allowed.
Have you ever seen, I don't know, since it doesn't rain here a lot, I haven't seen anybody do it here yet, but crimpers? Yeah, Chris Cherry played with crimper, and Chad Tabor from Adelaide last year. Yeah. And we kind of tried to do it with a thing that wasn't crimper. It didn't work very well. But again, the worry for me with that is rodent cover, because you can't see the damn things to trap them. Yeah. So I think it's a great idea. And we will try it. But that's our worry. We have such a problem with that, particularly in younger vineyards. Because killing a few grapevines is a big deal. So I think it's a great thing. I mean, I've watched a lot of videos, and I haven't spoken in depth with Chris about it. He said
the one thing he did say is he didn't think he timed it correctly and maybe didn't plant the appropriate cover crop. And Tabor kind of was the same.
Okay.
So jury's out on that one. So the other thing with ROC, that the farming part, apart from the tillage, was straightforward. The big part for us was the animal part, because we have 300 sheep. That was also pretty easy because we were doing everything right anyway. The big part was, and this all sounds weird because it sounds like we're abusive employers, but it was the human element, right? Because we've got a lot of guys that have been there for 20, 30 years and we treat them incredibly well, but it just really forced you to think about, do you really treat them that well? And are they really comfortable to come to you and tell you they think you're doing it wrong, or that they've got an idea? And are they really comfortable in their situation? And there's a language barrier, obviously. And so that was the one thing that I wouldn't say we improved anything vastly, but just simple little things like we now have a weekly meeting with Jordy, myself, and the entire vineyard crew, where they get to voice their ideas and like, why don't we prune earlier? Why don't we do this in controlling gophers? And I keep telling them, it's like, you know what, I don't trap any gophers, so I really don't know what I'm talking about. You're the one trapping, you're the one pruning, you're the one trapping gophers. I mean, I know all the winemakers say I'm always in the vineyard. Those are the guys that are really always in the vineyard.
Yeah.
So, and that voice has been incredibly beneficial. And it's a struggle because there's this weird culture of they're the bosses, we're the workers, and it's saying in this forum that doesn't matter, whatever you want to say.
Cool.
And it's
Interesting.
still a work in progress.
Yeah.
But we had this, it was crazy. We had this week of training from a company that was based in DC, who were used to doing training with like the management group of massive farms. And so they'd never done anything so small as Tablas. And they had to have a board meeting in DC of, do we even want to do this? So we had to fly them out and do this week's training course. And it was super cool.
Awesome.
And inspiring.
Yeah.
So, and all of those things, it's like a certification. Yeah, I know it's great for sales and all that, blah, blah, blah. But each step that you make, in my mind, like organic, makes you think a little more about what you're doing and how you're doing it. Biodynamics, whether you believe in it or not, if Biodynamics did nothing else for Tablas Creek, it brought 300 sheep onto the property and a bunch of fruit trees.
Makes you pay attention too.
It makes you think about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it makes you take a couple of steps further, even if you don't, do I understand biodynamics? God, no, never will.
Neither.
But it made us make moves and made us look at our farm as, we should do this with no outside inputs. We should be able to produce everything here. We need to be more diverse. We need animals, we need fruit trees, we need to think about what we're doing. ROC just took it to the next level, where now we got to think more about the animals. We got to think more about the people. Super cool program.
Yeah, I'm super interested in it.
And there's a lot of people. We've had more, if you want to talk about like publicity wise, more press and more other farms, vineyards and other calling and visiting us, just like,
Regenerative?
Explain this to me.
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm like,
No.
I'm very
I
interested.
think it's really interesting. And I know that, was it Troon in Oregon just announced that they're the first Oregon winery to achieve ROC, which is cool. Chris Cherry's pushing hard after it.
Great.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it just, if you believe it and you want to farm in that way, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just an obvious, I mean, I guess you could almost skip biodynamics and go straight to ROC, but ROC is so focused. Some of the whiffiness of biodynamics is important to me because it really does make you kind of think, weird.
Maybe.
Really
But one thing that really from biodynamics is like the gravity racking, and when you get that makes like total sense.
Of course
to
it
me.
makes sense. Yeah.
But the burying of the cow horns.
We do it.
Okay,
Gustavo runs the whole program at Tablas, and we bury the quartz and the manure and the cow horns and we spray.
Yeah.
But okay, so does that do anything? Maybe, maybe not. But I drove a quad through pretty much every block of the vineyard this week doing that spray. And sometimes you're just too busy to do it. But hey, it's today, we're going. And a bunch of us get on vehicles and drive the entire vineyard. So it forces you out there and you're driving this vehicle pretty slowly because you can only go like 3 or 4 miles an hour. And you're seeing and you're thinking, and it just encourages thought.
Yeah.
You know, these things are weird, right? I had a great experience. So that's the
I love it. I love it.
You know Jordy, right?
I love Jordy.
Right. So I've witched wells for Tablas Creek historically and had a great success rate with that. Yeah.
You would be a witch.
Yeah. So we were talking about it, and there's this one piece of property at Tablas where the guy that told me and I witched this well there, and I know it's there.
Yeah.
So I can take someone there, and there's nothing planted there right now. I know where it is. So I can so I took Jordy out, and he was like, "You can do that." Yeah.
Teach me?
He's like,
"That's
show
awesome."
me. So I'm like, okay. Yeah. So I gave him the sticks and set them across, and the sticks crossed. And he was just like, "Is this where it is?" And I'm like, "Well, see that rock by your foot? That's it." And he was just like, well, I said, "Okay, just so go the other direction for a while, and then look at your feet and walk back this way. And don't look where you are, just keep walking." And they crossed at the same spot again. And he was just like, so what is the science behind this? Like, it's not, it's hocus pocus.
Yeah.
And he's just like, but I felt them move. He was like, yeah. And I did the same thing today with my son and Gustavo. Took them out there because they were both sold out going on. And it's just this weird thing. It's like, can I explain that? No. But is it? And maybe I could just throw a rock in the Tablas Creek vineyard and drill a hole and find water. But thus far, we're 3 for 3. So
yeah. Are you gonna drill another?
No, I'm gonna save that just to ruin people's minds a little bit. People don't believe it. Like I had a friend visiting from England, and he wrote me and said, "You ruined my vacation." He was just like, without science, it can't possibly be. And I put him in his hand, he walked and they crossed, and like that rock that you're standing on, that's it. He was like, "Oh God, no."
That's super cool.
It's weird. Anyway, I don't know how we got to that. Let's taste the red wine.
All right.
We get questions in because I've been engrossed. And Frank Ness is here. Hey, Frank.
Hey, Frank.
Frank reprimanded me last week for not putting the wines that we were going to drink out soon enough so we couldn't get them. So Frank is responsible for the fact that he now has some of your wine.
Well, I was late sending him the wines, but he called me.
Does he have them?
Yes. GLS.
Never be late sending Frank wines.
Sunday there.
So Cotes de Tablas, the red relative of the white, 44 Grenache, 30 Syrah, 17 Counoise, and 9 Mourvedre. Am I missing good questions before you get this bottle?
No one's asking questions.
No one's asking questions. Frank, ask a question. He likes the farming tool.
I'm like, Brandy, where are you?
So Cote,
Same
thing, always Grenache based. Esprit white and red are the reason for being, if you will, of Tablas Creek. Cotes de Tablas we can't use all of it in that we need something else. Let's make a Grenache based wine because Esprit is always Mourvedre based. Esprit Blanc is always Roussanne based.
Got it.
I didn't know that.
I knew
How
that.
long have you been in this?
I knew that. No, I didn't realize. Always. Okay.
Yeah, always Grenache in the red, Mourvedre in the Esprit, Viognier.
Always Viognier.
Always Viognier, the Esprit Blanc, always Roussanne based. And now we have the next two, which aren't estate grown, is the Patalons. White is always Grenache Blanc based, and the red is always Syrah based.
Okay. So all the Cote is Tablas Creek Vineyard.
Everything we do, every bottle that we make, with the exception of the 3, the red, the white, and the pink Patalon wines, we buy fruit for that. We put some Tablas Creek in it, but we buy the majority of that from local vineyards.
Yeah. I've always loved your wines.
Thank you.
They're
I've I've always loved making them.
They're very.
I find it very hard to love my own wines. They're not mine.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
House families, but the wines that I make.
Yeah.
It's kind of because there's always like.
Well, every once in a while, you like taste one of your wines, and you're like, damn.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Good job, me.
Particularly when they get a bit older, because you've forgotten about them.
Yeah, yeah. And you're like,
Oh, wow,
who made that?
that was good back then.
Yeah. But no, I mean, Paso has like kind of a stigma of like this huge, big, extracted, alcohol bomby wines.
We do have that.
Robert Parker style-y, whatever. I mean, I'm sure you got great Robert Parker style.
Oh, really?
Okay.
I mean, we've done okay,
But
but we haven't been one of the golden boys by any stretch of the imagination because it's not the style of wine that we make. And
mhm,
bless him, Bob Haas was never going to bend to that.
mhm.
He was going to make the wine. He was going to make the wine he wanted to make,
Awesome.
and he wasn't going to change for anybody. You know, when we first started, it was all the pressure was you shouldn't be making blends. You should be making a Viognier and a Syrah. And at the time, that's the bandwagon everyone was jumping on. And Bob was just adamantly not. That's not what we're going to do. We're here for a reason. And we're going to stick with that reason, as he would say to me, and they'll catch up to us.
And I feel like, I don't know if anyone's catching up, but like people, I feel like the not tide is changing, but like it's a little bit more.
Well, that's why when we came to your place that Sunday a while ago, and I hadn't really tasted many. The only time I'd ever tasted your wine before was with Josh Reynolds at the Range.
Really?
And he wanted to buy that bottle. It was a Sauvignon Blanc. Did you make Sauvignon Blanc?
Nope. Chardonnay.
It was a Chardonnay then.
Yeah.
Because it was a white wine and he liked it. So
Yeah.
when we came to your place a couple of Sundays or a few Sundays ago, I, like everybody else perhaps, thought, she worked at Law and L'Aventure, and so they're going to be big. And those wines are incredibly well-made wines. I believe Stefan to be perhaps the best winemaker in town. It's just stylistically not my cup of tea, shall we say. So it was really exciting to taste your reds in particular. I really liked the Pinot Gris that day too, but they weren't huge. They were stylish and elegant and had finesse to them, which I enjoy. And it's like, this is not getting down on the other people's wines.
No, I agree.
It's just some people drink coffee, some people drink tea.
I also think for me, I've been drinking those wines for so many years, but like,
I didn't work there, so I can't afford it.
Exactly. But like when we're in Paso and you get that style a lot. And so when I wanted to make my own wine, I want to make the wine I want to drink. And I drink Tablas Creek. Like I like a leaner.
That's a brave thing. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to do what you're doing or have wanted to do what you're doing, I think, but made things a little differently because they were chasing that tail, that score, and that style, even though it's perhaps what wasn't there first. Just I think, that's how I feel about it. I do what I do because that's what we wanted to do at Tablas Creek. It's not, I didn't decide upon that style, but what does everybody drink when they're out and they have a choice? They're drinking Rhone wines and Cornas and Cote Rôtie, and okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I just if I can make wine, I want to make wine. I want to drink at night.
Yeah, totally. Be proud of.
Yeah, and also something a little different than everybody else too. It's like, why not? There's a lot of that. So.
Your neighbors. You got some good neighbors, but they're pretty big wines.
Yeah.
Brian Benson, that's a big wine.
Brian Benson's big. His dad's, Norm's brand level 3 is a little bit, it's still big, but it's not as extracted.
Norm, Midnight before?
Yes.
Midnight. It was Dark Star, Midnight Sours I struggle with. He was Midnight Sours. Yeah, Norm Benson. And so he's there too now. He's back in the game because he sold.
Yeah, he sold. And he kept his list forever. And then he said his list you know, as they do, started dying off. And so he was like, you know what, I need a storefront again. So him
That's a strange thing.
and Brian are kind of like he's in there pouring both of their wines.
Cool.
So yeah.
You got Jacob Toff.
And Jacob Toff. And I used to work at Jacob.
He was a late La Ventura guy, right?
Yeah. He was in the tasting room there.
Super nice guy.
So nice.
And
So happy. Yes.
Right? Ed was part of that to start with, maybe.
He made Ed's wines.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he was at Paso Underground. So before I moved in here, into Tin City, I was pouring down at Paso Underground. A little co-op tasting room downtown.
The same.
He owns it. Yeah.
I'm glad you like that guy.
Yeah. Call my French father. Yeah.
I'm embarrassed to say that I've never been to the Paso Underground.
Not a lot of people have. Not a lot of people have.
It's cool though, right? I mean, a lot of people have passed through there.
Yeah, Amy Butler's in there now.
I know.
Ranchero, it's awesome.
She posts a lot of stuff.
And then
I'm a fan of Amy.
Gary. Do you know Gary Irvin Primitive Wines?
No.
He works at Full Draw now, but that's his brand. And who else? Cameron Stoffel. He works at Herman Story. His brand is Ultima Thule. But anyway, yeah, it's just a bunch of younger.
And the story's a large one.
Oh, exactly. That's another one. Yeah, there's a lot. But
So what do you think of the coat?
I'm into it. Like so I go back and forth with Grenache, whether I'm a big fan or not. I have a question for you, since you do a lot of Grenache. Do you like to bottle it a little bit, if you could, if it's not in a blend, earlier? Because I've had some Grenache that it was my favorite in barrel, like the whole time, fermentation in barrel, and then I go to bottle it, and I'm like, I should have bottled that before.
Yeah,
But no, this isn't like that, I'm just saying.
I got a message.
No, this is beautiful.
Grenache is perhaps my biggest struggle bus is trying to figure out what it should be, because it can be so many things, right? And I mean, I think I'm totally infatuated with the Tribute to Grace wines at the moment with Angela. I like Angela a lot. And when I first tasted those wines, it was the A7, and I hated them. I was like, this is ridiculous what she thinks she's doing.
I liked them then.
Yeah, I was like, not there.
Yeah?
At all. No. And
this is water. Oh.
Yeah, kind of annoyed by the whole situation.
She was pregnant.
That doesn't matter.
I just feel like everyone else.
Well, that's it. We're liking your wines because she's cute and not pregnant.
Okay.
From New
She's
Zealand.
too cute. She's
too cute, too pregnant.
too adorable.
So I have to like her wines now. So then we spoke on one of these, and I admitted it. But then I had her wine somewhere with dinner, and was just like, okay, it's kind of really interesting. And then I went down and visited her.
Okay.
And then I kind of got it.
Okay. Yeah.
And now that style of Grenache, I think, is incredible. Because I guess my Grenache mindset was Gigondas, which I love, and obviously Chateauneuf a little bit. And then here it was always bigger and more powerful, and I thought that's what it should be. And now I don't think that is what it should be. But it can be made in so many different styles. The stem, and I've tried that, and I like it.
Does she do stem?
She does.
Oh, a lot of stem. Okay. Have you noticed that stem reduces alcohol?
I have not noticed that, but
yeah,
I have heard that.
Yeah.
Which is handy with Grenache.
Yeah.
But I just think, I think in general, we've come to a place where, even though we all knew it, now we're all, even us that knew it and pretended, are realizing that, color of wine doesn't really matter.
No.
People
who are like, oh, so inky. It's like, I don't get it. It's like, because it's extract. I don't understand that comment.
Well,
but it's like leg comment.
Case in point, I mean, we made a La Madrone Grenache, and Jordan was involved too, Jordan. And we did our tastings with Blanc. I'm like, I don't know. It's like so pale and it's kind of stemmy and then we opened a tribute to Grace like 2 nights later with dinner. I'm like, well, if it had come out of her bottle, if it was cute and pregnant, I would have liked it. But it's like my mind is just trying to get around what I want my Grenache to be.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Tablas, we have it, we do. And it's kind of middle of that road. It's not tribute to Grace, but it's not big and heavy either. But what I think, I mean, it's fun because it can do a lot of different things. So I don't know how to answer that question.
It's a pretty color.
I'm confused by Grenache.
I am too.
I mean, Syrah is easy, Mourvedre is easy. Obviously, main Cabernet and all that stuff is easy. There's some tricky ones. I think even Pinot is easier because Pinot, it's not as versatile.
I've never made it.
I mean, it's not whether it's hard or not to make, but stylistically, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a massive Pinot Noir. That's just stupid, right? People have done it, and it's like, you should just make Syrah easier.
Yeah.
But Grenache, I've had some beautiful kind of oak, bigger Grenache. It's like, oh yeah, I get that.
Same.
As Robert Haas famously said at the Zinfandel Festival, Grenache is Zinfandel with a college education. Which would have been great, as you can imagine.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was sitting next to him just under a tent at Okolo, and like a bunch of Zin fans.
Oh gosh.
A bunch of Zin fans in the audience going, what?
Excuse me?
What did he say?
What? College education?
Okay, so we're gonna have yours, which is
This one.
You should make it more obvious what colors one.
I'll tell Sylvia,
Yeah.
my graphic designer. Mushroomhead.
Mushroomhead. So let's talk about your strange names.
Okay. So Hubbard was my last name before I got married. I started the brand in 2016 before I was married. So Hubba is just funnier than Hubbard Wines. Not ultra
You don't
creative.
say maiden name anymore.
I don't like Maiden. I'm not a fan of Maiden.
You written a maiden?
No. Yeah, and well, Maiden implies that now I'm an old maid.
Is that what that implies?
I maybe I'm just sensitive. I don't know. I'm not a super fan. But anyway.
I'll go with that.
But all of my wines, they're all kind of blends, most of them. And I named them after nicknames of family members. When I was doing all the names are so hard, nightmare. But I was thinking like, what means a lot to me? I feel lucky. I like my family.
Yeah.
And they've basically,
Having that personal connection is important, and names are. I always was so annoyed by names, like I'm never gonna do that. And then you get to the point where you're making several blends, you're like, what am I gonna call it? I gotta give it a name.
And everything like that would be cool or good is taken.
Right.
So you have to think of something like interesting and different that
Naming a new brand is just
a nightmare.
ridiculous.
Now that beers, you can't trademark anything that any beer.
No, we just went through that. We just started doing a canned wine thing with Loma Jones called Hike It. And it started off as Cairn, like the stack of rocks. That marks the trail. And there's a brewery that had that name. So we can use that. So we went with Carn, C-A-R-N, and Cane Winery objected.
I like that.
Excuse me? It's not even close, but they've got 800 lawyers and I don't. So I was like, okay. We won't. And so we went like it. So you just made up a fanciful name. Yeah. Well, they were very threatening. Like, here, we'll come get you. Okay.
For my canned wine.
Making 250.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, no.
So you have to be careful. We did a cider called Calico Jack, and Jim Beam came after us because they did a rum with palm trees on the label. It was called that, and no one's ever seen it or heard of it, but still,
I've never.
They had 8,000 lawyers.
I bet.
It's like, okay.
You're too famous. People know.
Naming a product is difficult these days.
Well, Mushroomhead, my little sister had a bowl cut growing up. One of those haircuts, And I guess we were assholes and called her Mushroomhead. So I thought it was a good name for a wine.
Is she stoked on that?
I think so. Well, she gets wine out of it. No,
So if you get a wine named after you, how do you get free wine? Is that what's going on?
Well, she's a nurse in Portland, so I sent her a lot of wine this last year. Yeah. Whenever I felt like complaining, I'd just be like, oh yeah, Mushroomhead. Shut your mouth. But yeah, this
was my favorite of your wines when I tasted.
Oh, thanks. I think it needs to open up a little bit. I think it's better the next day. I did bottle all of these in March, so.
It's lovely. What is
It's about 50-50 Carignan and Syrah.
What is it exactly?
No, I don't know.
It's 53% Syrah, 47% Carignan, 47% from Jackknife Vineyard, 32% from Michaud, and 21% from La Montanita.
Yeah.
So where are all those vineyards?
Jackknife is in San Miguel. The Udsons own it.
Then they own all of San Miguel? Then they own all of San Miguel?
Pretty much. I mean, well, this vineyard, I think it's like 280 acres or whatever. It's huge. But the Carignan is just a half-acre block.
Wow. And
Niels is super nice. And he's like, you can have it all if you want. So I get to kind of like feel like I'm using my degree and, try to make decisions.
Make ag business decisions.
I've got my master's in viticulture. But I don't have any vines.
Right.
But yes, but ag business, same time.
He'd be a good person to teach either.
I know. They're honestly, I am a big fan of Castoro and what they've done. They have 7 different vineyards that are all certified organic.
All of their vineyards and they're certified organic. It's like I think it's half of Paso Robles.
They're stewards.
They are.
Yeah.
They've become stewards.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't used to be in the vineyard world. But
now
they are.
Oh, they're
in the
smart.
last few years, they've moved to organics, and it's incredible. I think we're trying to buy some fruit from them for Pasolon this year.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So I get the Carignan from them. I was previously getting Carignan at their Whale Rock Vineyard. And Carignan, I don't know if you have this experience, but it's pretty like mildew prone, right?
I've never made it or grown it.
Really?
But I know that it is.
Yeah.
I know that, and I love it.
Yeah.
It is, yes.
Yeah. So you have to, if it's organic, you have to spray like every 6 days or whatever. And it's kind of a thing over on the west side, but in San Miguel, it's too hot a lot of the time. So it less spray and
mildew withers.
Yeah. So I like it there. And then the Syrah is a combination of, Michael Michaud?
I have met him, but I can't say I know him now.
He was the winemaker at Shalom, like 25 years.
That's pretty good.
Like in the heyday.
Right?
Yeah. And he's a cool dude. And the vineyard that he planted, it's like right next to Shalom, like on your way to the Pinnacles. So it's basically the nicest drive to any vineyard. It's like federally owned road all the way up because it's like on the way to the Pinnacles. And then once you get to like the vineyard, that is not great. But so it's a really cool spot. Actually cooler climate than you would think. It's not cool climate, but like a little bit later than you would think in the Pinnacles, like super hot and deserty. But
love that area.
I do too. I like driving out there. And then the La Montanita vineyard is in Cambria. It's like, I think it's 8 acres. It's super tiny.
So what is this labeled as?
It's Central Coast.
Central Coast.
Yeah. A lot of my wines are Central Coast because
you're out of the Paso zone.
I know. Yeah.
And does that continue? Are you continue with these vineyards, or finding more in these areas? Or?
Yeah. So Hubba, I started out like it's kind of new still with vineyards and trying to see who I want to work with and where I want to drive.
Right. That's a big thing. Like people like Angela Tribute to Grace.
Yeah.
How do you drive that? Why do you drive that?
I mean, I don't have any kids right now, so it's fine. I mean, but now that the winery is going, I have to be at the winery more. Yeah. So I had to drop Michaud, actually. It was just like too far. Everywhere in Monterey County was like 2 hours away, and I was like trying to be sustainable. This isn't really.
Christian teacher was making his goal was to make Zinfandel from every Zinfandel, and it was like, why?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a time suck, and it's also like not the best for I don't know. I mean,
Yes.
if you're right here in Paso, I would love to make some sin from Paso, but I haven't found Asian Hell.
You haven't had one?
The right source. No,
No.
like I mean,
You need to be David Bailey.
actually,
I thought there's some David Bailey in your case.
yeah.
I give you-
Oh, cool. yes, I'm interested.
Right, there you go.
Never did. but yeah, so all
Certified
the
organic.
all of the vineyards are a little bit changing, and year to year they're not the same percentage. Obviously, it's vintage wine, so whatever is best each year goes into it. But all the wines have, from year to year, I think, kind of like the same vibe. Does that make sense?
I don't know because I've only had these.
Oh, I put some 18.
Okay, so
Yeah.
a vertical.
Yeah.
And more white wines? You can do more whites? Or
Yeah.
Do you like whites more than reds or as much as reds? Or?
I drink more white, probably. Yeah. I'm gonna make Verdelho this year from an old school winemaker here in Paso, Frank. I can't remember his name right now because I'm under pressure.
Where is it?
Templeton over off Lupin Lane.
Fralick.
Yes.
Harry Fralick.
Harry Frank.
Have you met him yet?
Oh yeah.
God, he likes you.
Oh, we are besties.
Oh God. No, we buy a lot of fruit from Harry.
Oh yes. That's I knew you knew who he was. Yeah, Tablas Creek.
I love Harry. He's crazy. He's
adorable.
showing off when you're there.
Oh, I spent 3 hours
No, I
there.
don't doubt it.
I had tastings that I just had to like text my girls and be like, "Can you take the tasting? I'm here and I can't leave."
Harry's
I don't
told
know.
me.
I can't leave. No, but it was awesome. Yeah.
He's a trip.
He is a trip. And I want to like read more about him or know more about him.
Careful what you wish.
Younger years. Well, he's such a character.
He told me once, when I was a younger man, I was a little right of Attila the Hun. Okay, Henry.
He's fun. He's real fun. And so I'm getting Verdelho from him. I don't know. We'll see.
It's great.
Yeah, I'm
Great
excited.
soils.
Looks
Great
it's like in
soils.
the most random spots on the vineyard.
Yeah. We told him a funny story. His sign, his little Fralick sign was falling apart. So, Levi Glenn?
Yeah.
Right, so Levi and I had him a new sign made and took it to him as a present.
Oh.
And he cried on his tractor. He was like,
Oh.
you guys.
Yeah. He's a sweetheart.
So
I met him one time. He's a sweetie.
Attila never. I've been told that we've spent too long.
Oh, okay. Well, I
You're
had a
nervous.
great time.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers, everyone.
Really
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
being here. Next up is David Gates from Ridge Vineyard, which now we've gone from an inspiration to pretty much a hero. So David's been a huge part of Ridge for, I don't know, a long time. Longer than I've been alive, I'm pretty sure. But you should check in for it because it'll be great fun. Have a great weekend. Cheers.